I wondered when you'd arrive.
Thought there might be one or two things we should talk over.
I should be resting right now. It's been quite an ordeal. You're not going to be so crass as to ask me how I got away?
We both know the chosen, Trudy. I can probably fill in the details for myself.
Knowing you, Ebony, you probably could.
Welcome to Series 2, Episode 33 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining the podcast panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Savine.
Hi.
And Maggie.
Hi.
With episode notes done by Matt and myself. So Series 2, Episode 33, the screenplay was done by Joe Boyle, it was directed by Colin McCall, and the episode synopsis were read out by Sabine.
Mall rats are overjoyed by the return of Trudy and Brady. However, their thoughts soon turn to the possibility of an attack by the Chosen to get her back. Meanwhile, Ebony and Patsy worry about what Trudy's return might mean for them personally. Chloe and Patsy advise Ryan on how to reconnect with Celine, and Lex's recent actions might have cost him the support of Alice.
Okay, so the tribe discover Trudy's return, and while Casey and Lex are curious as to how she escaped, Trudy doesn't want to talk about it, wanting to keep Brady close to her. And we're going to focus all on that first of all. So, panel, we mentioned just how much we all personally missed Trudy last episode, but did anyone have any suspicions in their original watch concerning her return?
I mean, she definitely acted differently. I think when I watched it the first time, I just, chalked that up to the fact that she had been held prisoner for who knows how long, and to be around the mall rats again was weird. It's just what I chalked it up to, when I watched it.
Yeah, I think I was the same. I don't think I suspected anything, nefarious. Just that, who knows what they did to her. And she had to get away on her own. However, she managed to do that. It didn't seem like it would have been a clean escape for her. She probably had to do some dirty things. That's what I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
And that look she gave Ebony in the sewer, I didn't suspect anything from it because I was like, this is a person who did her dirty and she comes back and finds her crying. Why shouldn't she be satisfied at seeing that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time watching it, I was just wondering how on earth did she manage to escape the Chosen? Because,
Yeah.
these guys are friggin' cult, and it's not something you walk away from that easily, especially with a baby.
Yeah.
And with how highly they valued her. So yeah, I did wonder what she had to do to get away from them.
I was definitely curious how she got out of there with that baby.
Yeah, because, getting yourself out is one thing, but escaping with the thing they value most, that's major skills. The looks she gave Ebony, though, I loved them so much. It's just, the look in her eyes says it all. Ebony deserves everything that happens to her from Trudy's point of view.
The only thing I was suspicious about, if at all, was just that we're clearly not done with the Chosen. I figured they're going to come back for her if this went down the way she says, or that there was a big secret in how she escaped. Something she might be ashamed of and didn't want to talk about. So that's what I figured. We were going to get a reveal on that. You know what I mean? Maybe she started a relationship with a Chosen and they let her go. You know what I mean? Just something like that. Like, I didn't think what was going to happen happened, but yeah, I thought at most that's probably what's going on here.
Yeah, I think I had the same thought originally. Like she must have gotten close to a Chosen member or something in order to escape. But yeah, I never thought of what we're going to get. That didn't cross my mind at all.
Yeah, but there was no way she was going to be able to leave without anyone coming after her.
Exactly. I think that was the only thing that I was like, okay, how did this happen? How is she here right now? How did she make it here and look so lovely doing so? Like, and then the fact that the baby is still like 6 months old, it's fine.
And how she was suddenly having tears streaming down her face when she was inside the mall, but not while she was watching Ebony just before that.
That actually made sense to me a lot because I can't imagine the complicated emotion that she'd be feeling coming back in there after everything she's gone through. She's actually made it inside the mall. And it's not like the last memories of the mall were pleasant ones.
Nope.
I think there'd just be. I think this was so sincere coming from her, regardless of what her actual plan is. Just being in that place, and I imagine they were tears of like, I can't believe I'm back here.
Yeah.
I imagine they're tears of she's not completely home, as we'll discover.
Yeah.
It's not Brady, and so she's home, but her child isn't home, and she has this job to do. The tears felt very natural to me. Everything she must be feeling in that moment, even without us knowing what she's hiding,
It's that sense of relief. You can just see it in her eyes with I'm back. I'm really back.
And yeah, like Casey, as usual, gets right to the point and asks the most pressing question that everyone seems to want to avoid. Yeah, well, I understand that obviously everyone's doesn't want to press her because she's just arrived, but this is important. This is an important question, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I understood Casey asking the questions that he asked, but I also understood everybody snapping at him as well. And maybe it was more or less because it was Casey asking the questions. Like, had it been Bray asking, they wouldn't have said that to him. You know what I mean? Or even Celine asking, they wouldn't have said that to her.
It should be the first question anybody should be asking.
Absolutely.
Like, come on.
Well, how did you get out? Are they going to be here soon? Are they following you?
Exactly. Are they on your tail? How long have you got? Like, come on. This is important. This has to be discussed. You can't just, we can wait. No, this needs to be told now.
I'm not surprised the Mallrats don't want to deal with that, especially Bray. Like, it makes so much sense to me that he'd be happy to sweep that under the rug, because then he might have to actually deal with the fact of what happened to her, his responsibility. We already talked about the fact that Bray just wants to pretend none of that happened. She's home now. Everything's fine. We don't even have to discuss it. So, I mean, that's their habit, sweeping everything away. We don't really want to deal with it. And she's able to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. How did you make of Celine's reaction when Trudy hugged Bray?
If I could slap a look off somebody's face, it would be Celine, and it would be Celine a lot of the time. Like, this whole episode, the whole last 2 episodes with this girl, I can't deal with her. Like, it's quite obvious to us who she's pining after, and it's not her boyfriend.
And then, really? I mean, the look of jealousy at Trudy hugging Bray after everything Trudy's just been through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All I can say is I don't have the patience for Celine today.
Nope.
Nope. Exactly. Yes.
Sweetheart, I will revisit you another day.
We will come back to Celine a little bit later.
Do we have to?
Unfortunately. But yeah, let's turn to Patsy's concerns, because she visits Tai-san in the wake of Trudy's return. And initially, Tai-san thinks Patsy wishes that Trudy hadn't come back, but Patsy denies this, instead admitting that she's worried that Trudy still blames her for Brady's initial disappearance and will be out to get her. So yeah, Panna, what did you make of that scene and Patsy's concerns?
Makes sense for her to have them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially with the way that, Trudy had treated her before she left. She's a child. She is still a child. So that thought of what's going to happen to her will always be at that, that forefront, because she is a child.
A great setup for us understanding the mind state and how vulnerable Patsy will be to the future manipulation.
Yes.
Because, by reminding us that she's terrified of rejection from Trudy, we understand why she desperately grasps whatever Trudy gives her and wants to stay in her good graces and do anything because she still feels this guilt and fear, so I thought that was really well placed. And I like the scene between her and Tai-san. I think Tai-san is giving her the best advice she can, given what she doesn't know and what she does know. It's well-meaning, you know what I mean? It's not harmful advice. And on the surface, she was completely right in her advice, you know what I mean? And it's a good scene. It's one of the more thoughtful scenes we get from Patsy, because we rarely get those.
Yeah, it was good. It was good to see that. I did like the fact that he decided to go to Tai-san specifically, because clearly Patsy realizes that Celine is in no state to talk to about any of this right now. and how Tai-San has been with the girls in the past. Yeah, I get that Patsy goes to her for this.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see Patsy seeing Tai-San as someone who's good at conflict resolution. Remember when the girls sided with the Bill of Rights? They were concerned that Tai-San wouldn't want to be their friend anymore. And they came to her and said, I hope you're not upset with us. And she was like, of course I'm not. It's okay that we believe different things. We're still friends. We're still family. And that would make me feel safe to go to her if I had another conflict to deal with. Not to mention, I've seen her forgive Ebony. I would be like, what do you think she'll do to me? And how should I handle this? It made sense.
Okay, Ryan. First chance you get, you apologize. Do you hear what we're saying? Yeah, and make it a good one. Flowers, everything. We don't want to be orphans just because you two can't communicate to one another properly.
Orphans?
You know what I mean.
Yeah, let's stick with Patsy because her and Chloe corner Ryan, thinking he's more likely than Celine to tell them what is going on between the two of them. And they give him advice on how to apologise, which he does take, but obviously to no avail as Celine spurs all attempts at interaction. So yeah, let's just quickly go through that. What do you make, guys, of the continuing saga between Ryan and Celine?
I'm going to tell you right now, there's no doubt in my mind that the reason Celine is still being the way that she's being is because she doesn't want Ryan. And this is her out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I know Ryan hurt her feelings. But would he have hurt her feelings as much if it wasn't somewhat true?
Yeah.
I can't handle Celine. I just can't handle Celine and Ryan right now. Ryan's trying his hardest, and he's always tried. He's always tried to get her to communicate with him, and she never will communicate with him. And now look what's happened. All she had to do from the very beginning of him asking, "Do you want to have a baby?" No, Ryan, I don't want to have a baby. This is why I don't want to have a baby. Instead of ignoring him and, avoiding him and pining after Bray.
Yeah, because that's what it is.
I feel bad for Ryan. Yeah. We know that going forward that it's Bray. We know that going forward. So
yeah, and that's exactly what it is. He's not mad as much about what Ryan wants, but about the fact that he saw through her. Because if it had been Bray, he might have said yes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
While I think those are good arguments, I think they might be a little too reductive and simplistic for what Celine's going through. While I'm not going to argue that she wants Bray, that she's realizing that I want him. I have unresolved desire for him. And of course, she can't make peace with the fact that the reason she doesn't have him is because she pushed him away. She told him no.
Yeah.
So of course, she's rewritten the narrative on that. That's not going to help her get what she wants if you live in denial about it. I don't think that Ryan hurt her feelings simply because he stepped on some sort of truth. Because I know my feelings would have hurt regardless. If I told my partner a very valid reason I don't want something and they ignored it and accused me of something else, whether it was true or not, my feelings would be hurt. I'm not saying I'm on her side or anything like that. Just, I think it's more complicated and not as simplistic as, oh, she doesn't want him anymore. She wants Bray. And this is her way of getting out of the relationship. Because if that were true, she wouldn't care when Ryan leaves.
Oh, I know.
And,
yeah.
I think she's conflicted, definitely. And she's definitely reveling in her anger at Ryan. But that's very narcissistic anyway. He's not giving her the fuel she wants. And so he's something she can discard at the moment until she wants to pick him back up. And she's not thinking about, do I want to resolve this? And what part do I have to do to resolve this? And I feel bad that the girls recognize that about Celine, though. That actually makes me sad that these little girls are where they cannot go to their caregiver and get a straight answer because she won't give them that. She won't be honest with them about what's going on. And they have to count on their quote unquote dad to make things right with mom. It's such anyone who ever had to live with parents who were in conflict a lot and were scared of their parents breaking up has gone through the one parent that they know will make things right. Like, please make this right. Please don't make mom mad. I don't want you to go away, daddy, or vice versa. And how simplistic they see it is just apologize, whatever you did. It's so simple. Please just fix it, dad. So our family stays together. And actually kind of broke my heart a bit,
Yeah.
And that look on Ryan's face the moment the girls say, "We don't want to be orphans." It's when he realizes, okay, yeah, they're not our kids, but They kind of are.
Yeah.
We took on that responsibility,
Yeah.
you know? And that would be psychologically being orphaned again for
Mhm.
them. And the way Ryan now Ryan was in the wrong for trying to force a baby on Celine.
Mhm.
It doesn't change the fact that it hurts that he wants this thing and his partner doesn't.
Mhm.
He has a right to be hurt by that. And the fact that he's willing to completely bury all the feelings he has just to make it right with Celine and take all the blame. Like, Ryan's not really resolving things either, because we'll see how he gets more and more aggressive. That's a sign these things aren't being resolved for Ryan either. He just wants to make the relationship work by any means necessary. And if that means taking the blame for everything, we see why it turns into this tumor of rage in Ryan that gets worse. And it's really sad because they're just too young. They're just too young to be going through any of this. Celine want from Ryan?
That's what I'm wondering. Okay.
Does she want an apology? Because it's like,
He's tried.
I know I've been mad at my partner. I know that. And to the point where just seeing them pisses me off. But it's like, at some point you have to ask yourself, do you want to resolve this? And what can they do? If you feel they're in the wrong, fine. What can they do to make it right? If you won't even let them talk to you when they approach you and offer the olive branch, what's the goal here, Celine?
It's simple. She wants to stay mad because she doesn't want to deal with it. She doesn't want to deal with the breaking up or the being alone again. And as long as she refuses to talk with Ryan, neither of those things will happen.
Maybe she's waiting for her feelings to make sense again. Like, right now, she's so mad at Ryan that she can't look at him, and she's doubting she wants to be with him. And now she's looking at Bray and thinking, oh my gosh, what happened there? Why didn't that work out? And he wants somebody else, and that bothers me. If she talks to him, maybe that comes out. But if she holds off and keeps pushing him away, maybe she thinks in her narcissistic brain, this will make sense soon. Because, of course, this isn't resolved until she's not angry anymore.
She doesn't think about everybody else around her. It's always just what is Celine feeling right now, and how can she make everybody else feel what she's feeling too, you know, in a sense. Like, misery loves company, and that, I think, is a lot of what Celine is. She has, you know, is through the entire show. The growth, we see her step back even further, you know. And this, I think, is really dead to her character. Like, they could have done other things with her. She didn't have to fall back into this, you know what I mean, with Bray. And she could have easily just not have had a baby with Ryan, and it still would have been okay. Just know that I don't like Celine, all right? I think she needs to grow up. I think she needs to get her feelings together and stop, you know, abusing the people closest to her.
That is very fair. Absolutely, 100%. When I was first talking about my opinion that I think she's a narcissist, and I had mentioned she had nothing fueling her, and what they say about narcissists is that everyone around them is simply fuel.
Yeah.
Everybody. And they use you for the fuel you give them, whether it's that you make them feel good or you meet some need. When you don't meet that need anymore, you're very easily discarded. But they still need control of you. And they will exert that control. So even now she's trying to exert the control over Bray through Danny, you know, trying to control that element of her life. It's the same reason why she can't just discard Ryan, even if she doesn't want him, because he is fuel. He's necessary fuel. So she's got to exert some sort of control to keep him where she needs him whenever, you know. I wonder if they knew that when they were writing her. Like, was this purposeful?
Seems too deliberate not to be.
Yeah. For me, it always feels like she's, at this point in time, she's just not responding to Ryan and just keeping him somewhere on that leash with the promise that, with the idea that it might all end up well, simply so she has a safety net in case she finally figures out what she really wants.
Yeah.
To make sure he's still there when she decides she wants him and won't move on.
So is that what you think Celine's doing at the moment? Do you think, like, is she just, is it like her grass is green on the other side kind of thing, the way she's looking at Bray? Or do you think she really is trying to pursue Bray and just keeping Ryan as a fallback just in case this doesn't work?
I don't think that, may not necessarily be exactly that at this moment. You know what I mean? But she's definitely looking at Bray like, okay, what if I would have,
there might have been.
yes, like that's all still definitely there. And once she realizes her feelings for Bray, then, it changes a little bit as far as her and Ryan go. I hurt, like my heart hurts for Ryan in this situation. Yes, I definitely felt like, what he said to her was a low blow. He shouldn't have said it. And he knows he shouldn't have said it. He knew it. As soon as he said it, he shouldn't have said it. But at the same time, he person can only get pushed so far and it's all over before they finally speak their mind. And I think he was pushed to his breaking point. And she's always at a breaking point, I just don't think they're good together. I just don't. I don't think they're good together. I don't think they're good for each other. Maybe in the beginning, if they would have stayed friends, I think it would have been different.
I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, simply because she's young and, this happens. When you start to fall out of love with someone, it can be very torturous. You don't know why your feelings are changing. The other person hasn't really done anything wrong, and you start to latch on to reasons to be angry with them, because you don't even realize it's because you don't want to be with them anymore. But then I think of the things that she does, the way she would bring Bray into conversations with Danny when it wasn't necessary for her to do so. And just this, there's just, again, a maliciousness, a narcissistic tendency to exert that control that makes it harder to see this as simply an innocent girl going through this.
Yeah, and you see the look on her face when Bray asks where Danny is and if anybody's seen her. You see the guilt in her face. Whether it's this episode or the one before this, you still see it. Like, she's like, I know what I did. I know what I did. I messed up. Like, just don't have the patience for Celine. And I try to take into account that she is a teenage girl, and I know what I was like at her age, but I also didn't attack the people closest to me because I was upset.
Can't say I never did that.
Yeah, I was a lot more. I don't want people to be mad at me,
I think it's just really hard to isolate any of Celine's individual moments because we know the whole story.
Yes.
And you have no choice but to look at her overall arc of behavior.
That is my biggest issue.
It's really hard to just be like, this is innocent, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, it's not. When I look at the score of your behavior, it's not an innocence. Your narcissistic tendencies to do this. And you do a lot of damage.
And I have to sit in here. I have to think about the fact that, okay, if they were to have a baby, Ryan's attention wouldn't be all on her. Ryan's attention would be split with his child. And maybe that's just me reaching, and overanalyzing it because we're talking about her being a narcissist. But if she is a narcissist, then that's a logical thing for her not to want to have the kid and not to want to take the attention away from herself.
That's true.
Just saying. If she is a narcissist, okay?
But even if she's a narcissist, she could want the child.
Yeah.
Because she has something that's all hers.
That is true.
An extension of herself.
That will love her forever, forever, no matter what.
And she can exert complete control over this little person.
Yes.
You're right. We've seen that.
And that poor kid better be perfect.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It could go either way.
So I personally think she just doesn't want a child.
Which just makes sense. It makes sense for her not to want to have a kid. And that's perfectly okay. But she could have just immediately had that conversation with Ryan instead of letting him sit there and stew and let him get upset. And you can tell he was upset every time he would try to talk to her. You know what I mean? Like,
I still think she made it pretty clear she didn't want a child, and
she should have used her words.
Yeah.
We all know that Ryan can't take hints.
I'm not going to give him that excuse.
Subtlety
I'm sorry.
is not a
Ryan
thing.
has shown that. No, Ryan knows body language. He knows nonverbal cues. He knows when somebody isn't.
Well, yeah, before he got the shoes is what I'm talking about. Once he bought those baby shoes, then
I knew. Even before. He knew before he got the shoes, because why again would he hide? Why did he hide the shoes? He knew she didn't want to talk about it. He knew she didn't want it. So he knew.
All she had to do was open her mouth and have an open...
You can't put all the blame on her there, Maggie.
I'm not putting all the blame on her because I don't believe he had the right to say what he said to her. And he doesn't have a right to get mad at her for not wanting to have a baby. That is her choice. I'm talking about the way that it was gone about. Like, open communication is a struggle that Celine has always had, especially in her relationships.
I think they both failed.
I agree.
in
Like
that.
I said, I agree. They both failed. I'm not saying one is right, one is not right. Lean could have used her words.
Yes, he's perfectly capable of doing so when she wants to.
Right. Ryan used his words to communicate what he wanted. Why couldn't she use her words to communicate what she wanted instead of playing games?
Well, I just know that I have been in relationships where I feel like I've made myself perfectly clear, and my partner wants to act like I had no idea that's how you felt. And I'm like, I'm not buying that. You know me. You know I didn't want that. You know I didn't want it because of how I reacted to it. And I think he's just as responsible for ignoring those nonverbal cues from her because he just didn't care.
Then he wanted her to talk to him. He wanted her to have a conversation with him.
But he also showed that he didn't care what she had to say about it.
Right. He crossed her boundaries. He absolutely did cross the boundary. You are absolutely correct in that. I just think that it, could have been handled a better way in all aspects.
Absolutely. Agreed there.
Okay, we're happy to know that's the end of Celine's
Thank God.
discussion.
Yay!
Oh, man.
What's been happening here?
Well, lots, believe me. But nothing you can't catch up on once you get over all this.
And you? Are you happy?
I'm heading that way. And now that you're back...
You with Danny now?
Well, we just sort of...
I'm glad. You'll be good for each other.
Okay, so yeah, let's go back to Trudy. Trudy asks Bray how is he, and if he and Danny are now together. And though he's a bit reluctant, he does admit that they are. But to his surprise, Trudy tells him that she's happy for the both of them. So yeah, obviously the immediate question panel. Like, were you surprised at Trudy's reaction? And in general, what did you make of Bray and Danny's being all loved up in this episode?
Honestly, I think this is where the first where I suspected something was off with Trudy. Because I was like, she wouldn't just be like, "Oh, that's wonderful," and you can even it's just that's not Trudy. I don't care how long she was away. The way that she hugged Bray when she saw him, you know what I mean? But
that was more genuine.
Yeah, this was Trudy. Good try, nice try. I applaud you for the effort.
When she did that, I was surprised. But I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. So I was like, maybe she's doing it for his benefit. Yeah. We have seen Trudy say and do things because she didn't want to make Bray uncomfortable. And, and be like, she's been thought of his feelings. So I thought maybe if she does have any hurt feelings that he's with Danny, she doesn't feel like dumping that on him. She just got home. She's happy to see him. So I thought maybe she was just like, that's great. I'm happy for you. Even if inside it might make me sad or disappointed, because I love you, and just trying to be a friend for him. And I thought, well, maybe it just comes from her natural maturity that she's been making this journey. And yeah, I just thought it was because she was happy to see him and she's not trying to make things awkward.
Right.
By being like, but I still love you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why didn't you wait for me?
Took some acting classes, okay?
I don't fully share that point of view, but that's just, there was a part of me that thought, yeah, maybe she could be happy for him because Bray didn't bother to come and rescue her.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was kind of thinking she may have given up on the idea of Bray and realized how useless he is at protecting the people he loves.
I would have believed that had she not hugged him the way that she did. when she first saw him, I would have believed that had there not been that reaction,
Yeah.
It's still, Bray is technically the one link to her old life.
You're right.
So no matter the intentions, she will always love him for what he is. Her baby's uncle, her first love.
Yeah, I just still can't get it out of my head how much Trudy did love Bray. And how she does and continues to do so, it's the same. I was feeling the same way, with the Ebony thing. Makes sense. Okay, Ebony loves him. Trudy loves him. Why are they gonna keep one but get rid of the other? I don't know.
Yeah, I still have the moment in my mind that the last thing Trudy said or shouted from the boat was to Bray that she'll always love him. and she'll come back for him.
Dude, now like every time you say it, I'm like, that's not what she said. Because now I believe that's what she said, but it's not. Don't forget me. Like, but in my head, I can hear her saying, "I will always love you."
Oh wait,
it's because she said, "I love you.
Right,
don't
that's
forget
it.
me."
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my god, my head can't hear. I thought she said.
She's Mandela affecting us.
Yeah,
and I don't like
think
it. Okay.
at the time, I just thought it was a form of masking. You know, we've all had somebody who didn't return our affections, but because we needed to stay friends with them or we wanted to keep them in our lives, we learned to mask our own affections because we're not trying to make things awkward. So that's what I really just figured it was. Like, she's just masking it because she's not trying to make things awkward. She did the same thing in the park the day Brady disappeared. You know, the minute she noticed Bray was getting uncomfortable with her emotional intimacy, she immediately backed off. And so that's what I figured it was. You know, the same way Ebony masks her feelings, you know, with Bray. But now I feel like it has more to do with lowering his guard because she has a mission.
Oh yeah.
And she doesn't want him to be at all suspicious of her or her behavior. And so she's playing nice because she knows Bray. He won't question it if she's playing nice. Like, everything's fine.
She's just happy to be
I'm
home.
so happy
and
for
she's
you,
just
Bray.
happy to be home. Yep.
Yeah, and that's all Bray wants anyway.
Yep, exactly.
You know?
He's not going to think about anything else because she and Brady are home. Good job.
Don't want you to look too closely at me, Bray.
You got us.
I have work to do. I can't have you looking at me or paying much attention to me.
We don't need to associate often. It's okay.
Yeah, you go be with Danny.
She's a great distraction, Bray. Fantastic.
Yeah, couldn't have found you a better
And
one
that's
if I
absolutely
tried.
what it is too. Yeah.
How sick the two made this episode.
Well, I wasn't going to mention them at
Wants
all.
to gouge my eyes out.
It was just so false. Oh, like, it was just forced and false. And I hated it. Then just gazing at each other. I was like, oh, we can't focus. I was like, oh god.
Oh, and then Danny going all, but what happens now, Bray? It's my first time.
I don't know who wrote these two's dialogue. I really don't. I'm just like, this is awful. It's really bad. And it wouldn't be such a bad thing if I hadn't already seen Bray in love.
Exactly.
Like, sincerely in love, but I have. And he acted like a normal human being who said normal human being things. And this is just like,
no reason.
What play did you rehearse, Bray, for this crap?
Seriously.
That whole scene where they can't concentrate because they're supposed to be so in love. Do you know what that reminded me of? Apparently, when they were filming when they were filming the Brady Bunch, the oldest siblings, the actors who played them, fell in love on set. Teenagers fell for each other.
Oh, yeah.
So Greg and Marcia, behind the scenes, were crazy for each other. And there were several scenes where they'd have to keep cutting because these two couldn't focus on the show because they just wanted to jump each other's bones. And it's this cringy, hilarious tale from yesteryears. That's all I keep seeing with these two. It's not convincing. If it's meant to convince me these two are crazy in love, you're still not doing it. It doesn't feel sincere what's happening between these two. It feels forced.
No, and then of course I had to be the person. I had to go to Josh. I was like, so you want me to make this even grosser for you? He's over 18 and she's like 14. Oh, it's fine. It's just acting.
It's exactly as Liz said, though, because we have seen Bray in love before. We've seen that whole build up. We've seen how it folds, and then just to see this kind of parody, this kind of play.
That's what it is. It is a parody. That's exactly what it is. They're meant to bring the comedic relief to the episode, and we don't need it. We don't need it. I don't need Danny and Bray anyway. So,
I can buy it from Danny's point of view. I've never seen Danny in love, so if this is her in love, fine, I'll buy it. But Bray, I've seen you in
Head
love,
over heels.
really in love, and this isn't. What is this? This is like, you don't want to be gross, but it's like you're grooming an underage child. You just don't sound like a real person.
He's just trying to get in her pants. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like.
I'm just, ew.
Even Lex seems to have more tact than that.
Oh,
I'm not touching that.
Yeah, I'm like,
all I can say is that the writers have tried for all season to convince us that these two belong together, and they have failed for me.
Yeah, they're even together now, and we still don't believe it. Thank you.
Yeah, I still don't buy this. Sorry, not with you. This is gross. Moving on. Next scene. Put some clothes on.
Put some clothes on.
He acts so obnoxious
Yes!
in trying to convince us that he's in love with Danny, that it doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel sincere, and it makes it creepy. That's why. That's why we're here.
Even when she asks, what do we do now? Or what do I do now? This is my first time. He gives a creepy answer. It only gets better.
That was the creepiest answer.
Like, what the
That's
heck?
true.
All right, Don Lothario, I see you.
It just gets better from here. Like, ew. What? That's not the answer she's looking for, Bray. She's asking if you're in a relationship. She's asking, like, what did this mean when we did this? Are you my boyfriend now? You know, are we committed to each other? No, it just gets better from here. Like, ugh.
You should go pee, though. So you know, girl.
Yeah, that is a Lex response. Yeah, that's
That was
quite,
definitely a Lex response. You are absolutely right.
Like, the right response would have been like, well, I don't want to see anybody else. Do you? I really want this, you and I, to continue. I would like you to be my girlfriend. That's what you say to that. And even Bray knows better, you know? And again, he had the same freaking conversation with Amber, okay? And so it was done better.
It was, okay? Because Danny will never be Amber. You will never be our mom, and you cannot replace her.
This is the worst kind of sequel. It's just when they just do the same thing they did in the first movie, but worse. This is American Psycho 2. Just, I don't want it. Get it out of here.
How is Bray the protagonist when all anybody ever does is talk so much crap about him? Like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say besides me and maybe a handful of other people that Bray is their favorite character. All right? Everybody usually hates him. And I'm like, but he's the protagonist. Okay, that's fine. Everybody, you know, likes Lex, I guess. That's the draw. That's the draw. Everybody's always like, Lex is the best.
No.
In most stories, the protagonist is the least likable character.
That is true. I tend to not like the protagonist.
And they're also the least interesting. They're the safe character.
Like Harry Potter.
You know, they're the empty palette. You know, Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, Bella Swan. And they're surrounded by more interesting characters.
That's true.
You know, and those are the people we tend to gravitate to. You know, when people were doing Star Wars as kids, they weren't being Luke, they were being Han Solo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Harry has the more interesting friends and on. So
Poor Bray. I still love him. I don't care. It's fine, guys. I'll talk crap with you.
I like Bray as a character, but I've had a really hard time with him in season 2.
Season 2 is just, you absolutely, like, the more we watch, the more it just reiterates that the mall rats are the villains, and they are meant to look like the villains. Because the city is turning against them.
Because you can ask these guys, I was his biggest cheerleader in season 1.
Okay, well, that makes me happy.
Constantly defending him, and but season 2, I've had a hard time with him.
I know, and I don't think it really gets much better in season 3.
He's disappointed me. I'm like, Bray, I expect better of you.
Yeah,
you know?
but his
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
But Amber died, and that she was his only motivation. Oh, wait, until now. Sorry, until, Danny came around to pull him out of that darkness 6 hours later.
6 hours is a lot of time to be in the dark.
You're right.
It's hard, though. I mean, looking at it now, the Bray I remember and loved so much all those years is so different than what he actually was.
Yes, exactly. But I think watching it as a 30-something-year-old woman, we look at it differently now. Whereas before, it was, he's who I would want to be my baby daddy, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I really don't think that you should be a father, Bray, but that's fine. Like, that's fine.
Hey, we all make those messed up assumptions like the first time. Because honestly, I was chasing Lex. Now I look at myself.
I was like, Lex and Bray, man.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm like, Ryan, come here. Come here. I will give you babies. Come here.
The circumstances that led to you being taken in the first place.
Let me see. You told them where I was. They came, grabbed me, carted me off. Yes? What about it?
Who else knows?
I think he may be right. There might be one or two things we should talk about.
Obviously, with Trudy back, Ebony visits her, wanting to know if she'll tell the others about the circumstances leading to Trudy's original capture. And Trudy says that nobody else needs to know for now. And then later, we see Ebony writing a hit list of names on her mirror and bringing back her old loco tribal markings. So, I mean, yeah, panel, what did you make of the exchange that we saw between Ebony and Trudy? And yeah, how did you interpret Ebony's new image?
I kept saying uh-oh. I said uh-oh a lot.
I was just very giddy and happy about the fact that Trudy was finally having the upper hand over Ebony. Like, she's got her reeled in, and she's just, gonna let her suffer for a while.
Did that not throw any alarm bells for you, the way she did it?
Yeah, but I was too happy about it to actually feel alarmed.
For me, it was a yes and no. I don't know. I don't know, because Trudy and Ebony, it's a very tricky situation. Ebony's done a lot to Trudy. So I really wouldn't put it past Trudy to want to hold something over her head, to have that upper hand, because finally she does have the upper hand, and she's never had it. So, I mean, I could see it being the fact that Ebony's still there, that she shows back up and Ebony is still there. You know what I mean? That's gotta sting.
Yep. And she gave Ebony a second chance, or well, a 700 chance. When she let her go, she helped her escape from the Chosen, and she was nothing but kind of nice to her. She helped her get away, only for Ebony to betray her once again. So, to me, it made perfect sense that if she has anything to hold over Ebony, she will. I didn't see a big alternative motive behind that other than just plain old revenge at Ebony.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't raise any alarm bells because it was Ebony. And so all I thought was, oh, Trudy's ordeal has given her teeth. Which makes sense. Traumatic events, often we develop armor because of them. And this person is the reason she ended up in this traumatic event, and so that's how for me, it felt like, yeah, she shouldn't be nice to this person. She should play with her. She should mess with her. And I'd seen what Jaffa was doing to Trudy before she was taken away. And I'm like, that, if any experience is going to make you a little more rocky, a little more jagged around the edges, something like that'll do it. If she'd done this to someone else, I would have been like, whoa, red flag, because that's not that's not the Trudy I know. But here it felt completely acceptable. And again, very clever writing to hide what's going on with Trudy before they start exposing it, because it could just be like, of course Ebony deserves Trudy doing this to her and playing with her and toying with her because of what Ebony did to her. So I was like, oh, okay, go, look at you, girl, go. Yeah, give her some.
Yeah.
As for Ebony's change, oh my gosh,
that's what, she's got to put that armor right back up after she let it down with Bray.
It's so depressing because it's like, I know people like this. They are often the cause of their troubles. And so they'll try to go straight for a little bit. But as soon as, if things don't go right for them while they're going straight, they immediately give up and still take no responsibility for why their life is the way they are. And so that's why I never saw Bray being the key to Ebony coming out of her funk as the healing penis trope, because Bray was never the key to Ebony's problems. Even if he'd returned her affections, she'd still have these problems, And so as soon as she didn't get the guy, she immediately goes back to the way she's been. She was never sorry. She was never remorseful. She never actually felt bad for anything she did. She was just playing a part and hoping she'd get something she wanted from it. And it was fun to indulge that side of herself. But as soon as things didn't go the way she wanted them to, she goes right back to this and acts like it's everyone else's fault. Like, I need to get revenge on all of you. And it's just like, Ebony, you were not owed a happy ending because you did so much damage to these people. They owed you nothing. None of them. And the only person on that list who deserves to be there is probably Zoot.
Yeah, it was alarming. It didn't surprise me that Ebony went back to that. But just having her put on that makeup, it just had a certain ding dong, the is back.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kind of vibe.
When you only have one coping mechanism and things don't go your way, you're going to keep falling back on that one coping mechanism. It hurt too much when Bray rejected her. It hurt. It devastated her. And that was vulnerable. And she's mad that she allowed herself to be vulnerable to feel this. So she goes right back to the coping strategy of I'm not going to feel any of this. I'm not going to let any of it touch me again because I don't like the way this feels, you know?
Yeah, and keep in mind, right now she's still in some of their good graces, kind of, but she's afraid of what's going to happen when Trudy does tell everyone what she's been doing. And she's getting ready to bolt. Either make yourself needed or bolt.
It would have been a miracle if she'd actually tried to make peace with Trudy, tried to apologize. If she had the ability to feel remorse, that's what many of us might have done. Acknowledged, man, I really hurt you and I'm sorry. I'm trying to be better. But no, her instinct was just to protect herself and say, this sucks. I don't like being vulnerable. And like you said, Sabine, I better put my plan in action because I'm going to do my thing. I need to look out for me, and all of you people are my enemy again.
Like this secret panel, I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong, but like Bray knew what Ebony had done. And it was kind of assumed that most of the other Morats knew afterwards, in the aftermath, after Trudy had gone, who had caused it. So I'm kind of a bit confused about the writing here. I don't know.
They never.
No.
They never confirmed.
Clear.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and all Bray knew is that Ebony knew where Trudy
That's all
was
she knew.
and wouldn't tell
that's
him.
all that he knew, was that she knew of her location.
He didn't know that she was lured there by Ebony.
Right, but he blames her for the disappearance and for her Trudy going because she knew where she was and she lorded it over him to get something she wanted before she gave him the information.
Yeah.
Right.
Which cost them precious time that they could have used to actually save Trudy.
Yeah, but...
And that's all he knows. He doesn't know that Ebony is the one who got Trudy in that situation in the first place.
Yeah, but she knew where she was.
Right.
And he believes it's because she got captured by them too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all he knows. And that's all the rest of the tribe knows, is that Ebony apparently got captured by the Chosen, discovered that's where Trudy and Brady were, and didn't tell them right away. Instead, used it to get the antidote formula. That's all they know. Again, that's still enough for me,
Absolutely.
but clearly not these guys. Pack of lemmings. But yeah, they don't know that she's deliberately responsible for Trudy ever ending up with the Chosen at all.
Okay.
It did seem that way, though. Because it did kind of, was implied that Bray knew exactly what she had done.
Yeah, the aftermath was a bit weird.
I don't know. I just think if she was smart, she could have still get ahead of this.
She's Ebony. She's got this if she figures it out.
Yeah, she could come clean before Trudy ever had the chance to, and pull out a whole sob story if she wanted to. But she doesn't want to depend on their good graces anymore because Bray didn't give her the D, and so she's like, screw it.
Yeah.
Oh, Bray.
I mean, that line from episode 1 that Dal says, you know the rule, look after number 1. It specifically applies to Ebony most. Yeah. That's all she ever does.
That is her only rule.
I don't believe this. I don't believe it. You don't actually think he's going to do all this, do you?
Will you pipe down? This is important.
Alice, the ideas are good. This is what's needed.
Oh, wait a minute. This is Lex. You know he's not capable of all this. You know, Lex, the same guy that for the last month couldn't organize a change of underwear for himself. What, and he's going to save us from the Chosen?
Well, who else is going to do it? Ebony or you? You know, maybe you wouldn't have such a down on me if I'd taken you up on that offer at the dance party the other night.
Lex, I think you've said enough.
If anyone wants me, I'll be at the farm. There's a better class of animal there.
Lex, of all people, obviously, outlines a plan, including traps and setting patrols, all to the approval of Bray and Danny. But Alice scoffs at his ability to carry it out, leaving them all when he responds by insulting her. So, I mean, yeah, was anyone convinced by Lex's plans? And how did you feel about Alice's kind of change of heart concerning Lex?
I mean, do I believe that he would have accomplished all of that? No. Do I believe that he would have tried? Probably. At this moment, he would have tried. He was trying to do better. He wanted, because you see it throughout the show. Lex wants the approval of his fellow Mallrats.
Yeah,
he wants to do good by them, but he keeps messing up. And Alice, I mean, he shouldn't have insulted her. Okay, but she was doing nothing but insulting him in that moment. And I feel bad for both of them. I like their friendship. They're so good together.
it made sense for me that Lex wanted to do all these things and came up with a plan. Especially if you keep in mind, the girl that just returned that they want to keep safe is the one that saved his life.
You know, and I'm sure Lex now was like, okay, now I've got to make sure that everybody's safe because I messed up that first time, man.
Yeah, I think that must be playing somewhere in the back of his mind.
And kudos to Danny and Bray for thinking that, you know, it's a good idea. Because even if they, you know, they're good ideas, even if Lex isn't the one that executes them. You know, and I feel like he would have tried, but I also feel like Lex was one of those people, and he is one of those people that likes to delegate. So it wouldn't have just been him doing it on his own. And Alice, you know, he disappointed Alice. He really disappointed Alice, you know, with you know, getting drunk when he did. And I understand her outburst and her being upset as well. But it's personal more so than anything.
But his comment was a low blow.
It was a low blow, absolutely.
Especially with everyone there.
With everyone standing there, yes, absolutely was a low blow. But she was doing nothing but standing there and cutting him down to every single member of that tribe. So I understand him going low because that's who Lex is as a character. I wouldn't have gone low, but as you know, Lex, that's what he does. That's who he is, male or female. You know.
But kudos to Alice for just saying, "Fine, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not staying here.
And leaving.
If you need me, I'm at the farm."
Yep, you know, she made that decision to go, and that, you know, is what an adult does.
Yeah.
I think Lex's ideas were great. It's not like Lex hasn't had good defensive ideas before. Do I believe that he would have ever come through on any of them? Not really. And I don't think it's for lack of
right. That's what I say. He'll try.
It would be lack. It's lack of investment. Right now, I believe Lex is fully committed to what he's saying. But I can't guarantee that tomorrow he'll be committed to any of what he just said. I understand Alice being like, are you serious, you guys? You're listening to any of this? But I also feel like her disappointment's too personal right now. She's really mad that he let her down personally, and she can't get past that. And as Maggie says, she's continually cutting his good ideas down in front of the entire tribe. She can't acknowledge her good ideas. There is a more constructive way Alice could have expressed her doubt in him, you know, rather than just plain insulting him in front of everybody. Again, she's very emotional. She put her faith in him. She backed him, you know, and she likes him, sees good in him, wants him to be better, and he let her down. I don't think she's thinking of the circumstances of how that happened, you know, and then he didn't deliberately let her down. It's not like he just went on a bender and said, screw you, Alice. You know, he was trying to help a friend and this happened. So I do think
they came home.
Right. I think she's being a little too emotional because she feels personally betrayed by him. And you don't just keep cutting someone down and not expect them to snap back.
Right.
She's not like they're alone and she's snapping at him and telling him, I don't have faith in you because of this. And, you know, so I completely understand why he snaps back at her like, geez. Now he knows why she's mad. He knows it's because he let her down. And so, yeah, just like, you know, Brian did, even though he knew Celine was right to not want this child and he was wrong, he took a low blow because he was hurt, you know, and I get it though. And, you know, that's what happens when your emotions get in the way. But I don't think, no matter what the circumstances are, the Mallrats would have followed through on any of these good plans. Like, I don't care who came up with these awesome ideas, they would have never gotten done. These Mallrats haven't followed through on anything productive in season 2.
You can't even lower the grill.
So it's like, yeah, right now, you know, we're like, yeah, this sounds great. But like, seriously, what do they really do to protect themselves from the Chosen going forth?
They would have, can you imagine if they would have tried to implement these plans that Lex had by bullying other tribes to do it for them?
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering how Lex was going to get people to volunteer and to sign up to do it, you know?
What are you going to pay them with? The plastic tokens they can only use in the marketplace?
Right.
Like, these are grand ideas, but we already know you guys can't implement anything properly. And I mean, you don't even implement your own Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
So this was never going to happen. But bless your heart, Lex, for being excited about something.
Bill of Rights. Was there no punishment for attempted murder? Was that really not in there? Like, I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So just murder. As long if you try to murder someone, it's fine. If you succeed, it's not fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No, this moment with how mad Alice is at Lex, it always made me wonder about what experience Alice has had with people drinking. Because it always looks like she had some experience with it with people who kept falling off the wagon again.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, I think it was more just that Lex was so useless and destructive when he was drinking. And it was a problem for everybody. Like, I don't think it was even Lex's drinking that was the problem. It's that because he was drinking, no one could depend on him and he was causing problems for everybody. And I think that's where the problem was. Because if Lex was just someone who went out and partied and got up and went to work the next day, no one would care how much he was drinking. No one would care if he was a functioning alcoholic.
Mhm.
But he's not. So that's why it's an issue. And I think for Alice, it was more that I vouched for you. She said that. If you ever renege on me again, like, I put my good name on you. You know, I convinced everyone to make you market supervisor. I believed in you and you let me down. And so it became personal.
I think they're both very emotionally triggered people. Emotions get the better of them, you know. Alice has always tried to, and I think when it comes to Lex and him letting her down, I think it just hit her differently because of her feelings for him. But then again, that, you know, she also saw that everybody else had given up on Lex. Nobody else cared. Nobody else cared. And someone needed to care in order to stop the destruction, in order to stop the chaos and you know, the mess that he was creating. And she stepped in as that person because that's what she does. You know, she always took care of Ellie. Now here's Lex who needs her. And then he let her down. And like you said, she got very emotional about it. And right now it is a very personal thing for her. I don't think she can look past her personal feelings in the matter to realize that, okay, this might actually work if we all work together, you know? Because she could have taken charge. She could have been like, all right, I will help you do this. Let's get this done. Instead, she lashed out because he had hurt her. He had upset her.
And I get that because it's like, as you said, everyone else had given up on him.
Yep.
And she was the only one who stood up and said, I believe in you. So it makes it makes it personal when he lets her down. It's like, dude, I was the only one who had faith you could do it. And you let me down.
Right. He didn't let anybody else down. He didn't let anybody else down because they didn't believe in him to begin with. He had no faith, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like, you made me feel like an idiot for believing in you and liking you.
Yes. You made me look stupid.
And thinking that you seriously want to do better and that there's a good person inside there. And now I feel foolish for ever thinking that about you.
I think it just sucks all around.
And it was an ugly thing for him to mention the party.
It was.
You know, she'd go, you know, and he knew that, you know, it was a low blow to go there, you know.
And we see that in the next episode, you know. I feel bad. I feel for them both in this situation. In this situation particularly here in the cafe, you know, because she is cutting him down and belittling him in front of his family, in front of everybody he knows. He's just supposed to stand there and take it. Because it's Alice, right? We know Lex.
And he's not allowed to say anything back to her either.
Exactly.
It's Alice.
You know, and he did. He decided, he's like, I'm gonna say something. This is not gonna happen right now. You know? And I think that's what any person would do in that situation. You know, they wouldn't let someone talk down to them like that.
And you have to consider that Lex's feelings are hurt too, because Alice is one of the few people whose opinion actually matters to him. Her liking him and having faith in him and telling him you're worth something matters to him. And so to hear her say these cruel things to him, it had to hurt. And so he wanted to hurt her back.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, you know, I say, you know, with they're you know, emotionally triggered. It's just sad. It's sad. I feel bad. Like I said, I feel bad for both of them because I love their friendship so much. They both mean a lot to each other. And this friendship, I believe, you know, opposed to other friendships in the show.
A realistic depiction of how friends can fight when they hurt each other.
How they can resolve it.
At the end of the day, it's about how they make up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like Lex didn't deserve.
Of course, not in front of everyone. She could have, you know.
But there was a productive way to go about it.
Reprimand me in public. Reprimand me in private. You know.
Or if you are going to do it in public, keep it constructive.
Yeah, constructive, exactly. Not just telling him how worthless he is. And that's more or less what she did.
It just sucks. I mean, it's not like I feel bad for Lex or anything, but I get it. I understand where he's coming from and where she's coming from. And
I think I feel bad for Lex because throughout the show, you see that, him trying to do better. And then, of course, he falls back into that same trap every single time. And I just want him to do better. I think I'm a lot like Alice in that, I want to see him do better because I know he's capable of it. We see it on occasion.
Okay, and yeah, that leads us to our final thoughts of the episode. After the confrontation with Lex, Alice ends up at the farm where she reprimands a shirking work party before angrily kicking a beam in the barn and accidentally causing a collapse. Yeah, what'd you make of that little mini cliffhanger there?
First time I ever saw that, my heart was in my throat.
Same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, no, not Alice.
Like, of all people, it had to be Alice. Why? I'm not going to say what I want to say. But why did it have to be her?
Yeah.
Ellie threw a tantrum. We didn't have to see what she was doing, and we didn't care. But I care about Alice.
Exactly. And I was scared because at this point, I don't think we really knew. They killed off Amber and Zandra, and I was like, oh crap, are they really? Is this really happening right now? Is this really? Is this going to be it for Alice?
Mm-hmm.
It's scary. I don't like it. My poor Alice.
Mm-hmm. Why did they do that to poor Alice? It's just...
But it's necessary. Yeah, it was a great setup. And I think it was necessary for the storyline going forward.
Yeah.
When it comes to making someone a damsel in distress, there are good ways to go about it and there are bad ways. This was a great way to make Alice into a damsel who needs to be rescued.
How else?
Without defaulting on... Right, and not defaulting on who she is. And yeah, it works. It just worked.
And of course, Alice has the strength to kick that pole down.
I mean, I saw that beam wobbling beforehand when the kids were jumping on the stairs. I'm like, oh man, oh no. And then, of course, when it actually happened, I'm like, oh, that's right. That's why it was so loose.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who's worked in an old barn, an old farm that hasn't had maintenance, my gosh, these kind of accidents. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I was scared. I was absolutely terrified for her the first time I saw it. I was like, oh!
Yeah, how's she ever gonna walk again if she even makes it, We know
the mall rats don't rescue people. What's gonna happen to Alice?
She's screwed. But remember, they made sure that she straight up said, I will be at the farm. So we know that they know where she is.
Oh, that's not the point. I mean, the mall rats just suck at following through and saving anybody.
You're right.
For a split second, I had hope that Ryan would end up storming off to the farm, just saying, I'm gonna be there, just leave me alone, and him finding her.
I'm all Ryan and Alice here.
What a way to bring them together. That's my headcanon. That's what really happened.
That is absolutely what happened, okay? They saved each other.
Like, Lex can make up with her later, and it's awesome, but let Ryan be the one to rescue her, and then they have this emotional intimacy. And
then, Ryan can bring her back to Lex. It'll be great. It'll be fine. Perfect.
And their friendship blossoms, and then, he can confide in her about Celine, and then it'd be great. That's what happened.
That's the story.
And they'll live happily ever after on the farm.
I'd much rather have that than what we get.
I know. Oh, Lord. They do her dirty, okay?
Alice can make Ryan understand how unhealthy his relationship with Celine is and help him understand what his attachment is to her.
Right.
And realize he doesn't need her.
And they'd both be happier living on the farm without all the drama.
Right. It would be great. It would be magnificent.
Gosh. I've literally just floated up into La La Land.
I can picture the little babies.
Season 2. What's season 2?
Babies running around, with their little overalls on, doing the farm work.
And on that happy thought, that brings Series 2, Episode 33 to a close. Thank you very much to the panel. And if you'd like to take part in a future episode of the podcast, you can send us a message on our Facebook page or on our website, thetribe.co.uk. So we'll see you next time for episode 34. Until then, bye.
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 Bye.